Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're joining us from. Thank you for joining to another episode of Present Potential. I'm your host, Hassan, and I am so happy and grateful for everyone who's tuning in every week to listen to the episodes and engaging and sharing feedback and growing with this podcast as we're growing. So I just wanted to express that moment of gratitude. I never knew that few months ago where I started this project, it would take this shape and where we're going and the people that I'm meeting and also the stories that I'm hearing and learning from. So I'm immensely grateful to everyone that I've engaged with and crossed paths with. And this kind of also brings me into today's conversation. I'm very proud to introduce you to our guest today. Her name is Shen Lim. We crossed paths during different communication engagements, mainly from the coaching world and industry. And Shen brings a value of finding ways to overcome challenges in her own unique self. We've been discussing off camera as well about how communication is really essential and important to be able to share our stories. And I'm very happy to say that we also took a similar communications course, which has significantly helps me. And I hope that my delivery, as well as anything that you've come across, is helpful in the way that I share stories. And I'm sure that we'll feel the same when we hear Shen. So I'm good. I'm usually the worst in introducing guests to the podcast. So I'll hand it over to you to introduce yourself. Shen, welcome to the show.
Hi, Hassan. Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Shen. I would say it's been a year since I've been on entrepreneurship, and I have become a confident empowerment coach. So my purpose, my vision is basically I want to be the gentle guiding light for people in their darkest moment, and it's through empowering and empathetic coaching. So I'm so grateful to be here today with Hassan to share some of my stories. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Sounds really exciting. So usually when we go into these discussions, we kind of go back to the beginning and to
Mhm.
hear what it was like growing up, or even
Mm.
as a child in school. What were some of your aspirations when you were growing up? What did you want to be, or what was your first memory of thinking to yourself, when I grow up, I want to be this kind of person or work in this profession? What was it?
Um, it's an interesting question because when to think back when I was little and when we were asked to write an essay, right? Like, who do you want to become when you were young? I remember me writing different things. I didn't have one thing. Like I would write doctor, I would write teachers, I would write um being a vet because I love dogs. But I never stick to any of them because I never really know what I want. That's just how I remember, like, in school. I feel like I didn't have a solid identity. Like I was just a child who goes to school and try to learn with everyone. So I think to really think about who I want to become, I feel like it's decades later
Mm,
that only I really think about who I want to become, because honestly, I feel like I most of my life I went through my life without really being intentional.
mm.
Yeah.
That's so honest, and I love that because I felt the same thing growing up as well. I didn't know what I wanted to become. And I feel like a lot of us feel the same way. Like we're not sure. And
Mhm.
maybe it's the tools or the guidance that we've had when we were growing up to be anything
Mhm.
that we want, but really we didn't know what that means. And
Mhm.
I'm curious to hear. So when you were writing what you wanted to become as a doctor or a vet, because you
Mhm.
love animals and especially dogs,
Mhm.
what was it about that drew you into maybe becoming a vet at some point, or like that really connected you to animals? What was something that you felt really drawn to that kind of industry or profession?
So regarding the vet, I just know I grew up with dogs, especially, and I was allergic to dogs. But so I remember I saw a puppy from the street and I wanted to bring it home. And I was staying with my grandparents then, and I know that I'm not allowed to have a pet. But I knew I wanted to save this pet, right? This puppy. And so I sneak it upstairs. I hide it. And it didn't take too long for my grandparents to find out. And when they find out, they were like, "Why did you have a dog?" I say, "It's not my dog, it's my friend's dog." Like I didn't know how to explain that. And I was, because I have sinus, so I sneeze a lot when I'm around fur, and but I didn't want that to be a reason. So, I just, try to cover it up. But I just feel so myself when I'm with the dog. Like, they're so innocent, they're so fun to be with. Like, I just drawn to the energy, and it just makes my heart melt. Like every single time I see a dog, I'm like one of those, till today, I'm one of those crazy dog people who run to the dog. Like some people are attracted to babies, right? I'm attracted to dogs. So that's how it is. And why did I want to become a vet? Because I think I saw a lot of dogs that are on the street and nobody taken care of them. And I know that that's this occupation where they take care of animals called vet. And that's where I actually have that idea that I want to become a vet. But it didn't stay long with me because I realized being a vet also have to do uncomfortable things, and I'm not willing to do that. And I think that's one of the reasons why I let that idea go.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So from finding a dog to bringing him home and telling your grandparents that it's my friend's dog. I love that. And just taking care of the dog and feeling really attracted and connected to them. And
Mm.
you said like your heart melts when you're with them. And it
Yeah.
resonating with me in what you're sharing, that you want to be so close to dogs despite being allergic. And also
Mhm.
when you started to hear that being a vet means you're going to be doing things that maybe you feel uncomfortable with. So you
Yeah.
decided I'd rather just show them love in a way that is affectionate and not hurt them
Mhm.
in any way. And then
Yeah.
how was that afterwards? Like, so that was in school, and then when you started becoming more mature, or like going into high school or maybe even university, what really attracted you in terms of what you wanted to be, or like your hobbies or any activities that you enjoyed doing? What were some of those things that really drove you to be the person that you are?
I feel like my story is gonna disappoint a lot of people because I don't have like, one of the most aspiring stories. But because I share briefly about I didn't really know what I want to do. Even
Mm.
in college days, I feel like I just want to be able to make sure I pass my education because of how my parents has, you know, work hard to um, invest in me. And but I didn't like study. To be honest, I didn't like study. It was difficult. I was having a hard time in college. I really didn't really think much about who I want to become, even at that time. I was just trying to get by, and I'm not the smartest person in class and also not the most hardworking person in class, but I do my best to get through, and thankfully I got my degree. So honestly, thinking back about the college days, I had fun with some friends, but I wouldn't say it's one of the days where I enjoy the most, because I wasn't really thinking much about how I want my life to be. Yeah, I'm just one of those. I would say I rebel, but I'm also very responsible. Like I never want my parents to worry, so I make sure I do the right thing. And maybe that's also one of the reasons that I felt like I never truly lived at that time. So I feel like I'm disappointing people at this point.
Not at all. I think like what
No.
you just shared was something very powerful because you're just being true to yourself and sharing that. I mean, you even started by saying I might disappoint people hearing, but I think you might connect with a lot of people because even me, like when I went into university, I didn't really know what I wanted to study, and I went into university in the UK, and I was very blessed and grateful that my parents were able to send me to the UK to study. But in the UK, you decide on your degree, and that's it. So for the next 3 or 4 years, you're just gonna focus in that um, profession. So
Mhm.
there's no flexibility to change the major or like the degree into something different. So, and there
Mhm.
wasn't an opportunity to explore what different types of subjects I can take. So, um, I think a lot of people would resonate with that. That's something very powerful to share. Certainly doesn't disappoint me saying
Thank
something like
you. You're making me feel so much better. But I do definitely want to add this when I'm done with the school and finally coming out to the society to work, right? And just thinking about what's the first job that I should be doing. So I asked my parents, right? I Because I didn't know what to do. I got my degree, but I didn't know what to do. So I asked my mom, what do you think I should, you know, because um growing up in a Chinese family background, all they want for me is to find a stable job, stable income, and that is their version of success. And so I asked them, okay, what are the job that is stable? And they told me, go work in a bank. I'm like, okay. So that's when I start my job search, right? And I went into the bank, and that version of me of finding a stable job, stable income, which fulfill their vision of success, did not fulfill me for the longest time. So every single, there's always something missing in that journey for me. Like I always felt like I have a stable job, I have a stable income, but why do I not feel like I'm successful or good about myself? I didn't know that for a long, long time. I just continue in that journey. And how I convince myself is maybe I need to find a better pay job, right? A better income job that give me more stability, right? Because inflations and all that, maybe that's why. So I just continue chasing that achievement path, right? For so long. And I even moved country. I went to Singapore because I thought, okay, maybe I can put in the same amount of work by, getting a higher income in a different currency and come back and enjoy, right? So I was like trying to be creative and, continue in that journey of finding myself, and, but it's not fulfilling also for the longest time, right? And until I went, so I went to Singapore and start over. It's I'm not sure if I am actually answering your questions
No,
anymore.
you are like, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
just keep going. This is
Okay.
great.
Okay. So I went to Singapore, found a sales job, start working there. It was incredibly difficult because I was thinking of just being financially secure, right? So that's what motivates me to continue. So long story short, I've been there for like about three years. I remember um, after quitting my first sales job, I was recommended into recruitment, which is how my recruiting life started. And I went into the company. It's a MNC company, and I was fortunate to get accepted to join a team where they call themselves the high performance team. I didn't know what I got myself into. I was just excited to be part of it. And it was the hardest 2 years of my life. Um, every single day I was told what I need to do, and even doing it right, it's not good enough. Right. And so I don't know how okay, I know how I lost it. I was an immigrant there and I wanted to get my permanent resident. So I have to stay. So that was one of the reason. And fast forward, I came to US because of my partner who got an opportunity to came here. And then I follow him and start over again because I realized that I didn't really have a career that I was so proud of. So I don't really mind starting over. So, I just came here and then I continue in my journey of recruiting, and then eventually I joined Amazon. And then um the turning moment happens for me when I started to seek for what is meaningful for me, is when I think in 2022, that year itself, I felt like I had to go through, I think it was a tech layoff time. I had to go through like 4 layoffs. And at the same time, I felt like I wasn't really doing anything that I am proud of about myself. And I think that time I start questioning and looking around for meaning. And I came across life coaching. And I just thought, like, if 1 year from now, nothing changed, if I don't understand this, if I don't take a chance on myself, will I be happy? And it was so clear that I am not happy. So I thought, like, what's the point of living if I'm not happy, right? So that's when I decided to explore coaching and definitely change my life. So that was like the ultimate journey of when I truly am thinking who I want to become, like before that I was just continuing in everyone else's expectation but myself.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing. And
Yeah.
I guess when you were a child, you didn't think about life coaching. I mean, I certainly didn't know what a coach was,
Yes.
but I can completely resonate with your story and how also like parents might have a different definition of success and what a stable job is as well. So, um, I mean, if we look at the global financial crisis of 2008, probably finance and banking was one of the least stable jobs out there because it was significantly hit with what's happening in the global economy. And
Mhm.
it sounds like you've tried different ways and also to find how you can satisfy maybe your parents' desires or guidance that maybe they thought it was best for them. But ultimately, you came back to what is true for you, and it must have been like a journey of going through a lot of different emotions and decisions to make, and moving
Oh, well,
countries as well. Like I can't imagine how much that goes there. And it kind of resonates with me as well, because when I decided to go into finance, I studied economics and finance. But before I went into there, my my father wanted to have a son who studied to become a doctor. So he asked, I'm one of four boys in our family. So he asked everyone to become a doctor, and I was the last chance. And then he asked me, so do you want to become an eye doctor, dentist, or a surgeon, or heart doctor? It was all doctor. But the reason was is because he wants a stable profession that nobody can take away, and also something that's quite respected. And I would have loved to become a doctor, but I don't think I have the heart or the strength to be able to serve people in that way.
yeah.
Um, so I chose the second best, which was economics and finance, which is what he studied. So I was kind of playing it safe in that way. I thought just to share a little bit about my journey as well. But when you moved to the US and then you started realizing that there's deeper meaning or calling or living your true self and exploring coaching as well, um, what was something that drew you into this industry? Like, what did you find that something was really connected to who you are? Maybe throughout the years and the experiences that you went through, you felt that maybe you're drawn into something in terms of coaching. What was that thing or like that moment where it changed for you?
I I always enjoy connecting with people, and before even I come to realize that, so I told you I was doing recruitment. I was doing for about 10 years.
Mm,
I was in this industry for 10 years, and one of the moments that I enjoy most is when I connect with the candidate or hiring manager, because I enjoy those conversations, genuine conversations, and really helping my candidate particularly land their job, their dream job. And I'm one of those recruiters that I don't give up on my candidate, which is usually not the best from the corporate world, because that is always a quota sales and stuff, right? But I enjoy that so much, where I would prep them, take hours and prep them on weekends sometimes, just to make sure they pass, if that's really what they want. And so I realized I love that so much, but in that midst of that layoff season, there wasn't a lot of recruiting going on, right? So I was actually doing a lot of project management stuff, which is not really something that I enjoy as much. And I was just losing the connection piece. And when I found coaching, life coaching, when we were in the school, we were expected to fulfill certain hours and coach people. And in that process, I realized how big of an impact I can create just through one conversation, just being there for that person, using the tools and framework that we learn to help these people get clarity in life. And sometimes it's just bringing perspective and shining their lights back to them. I feel like what a powerful profession this is. And I am fortunate to experience that. And that connection with the human, it's so empowering for myself. Like, it's just not for them, not just for them, right? It's like I feel so fulfilled after every call that I have. And I don't feel fulfilled easily beside having when I'm with my dog, right? So I I just think that is something they're calling me, because even though when I was still in the school, I didn't know I want to be a life coach. I was just trying to understand life. So that was truly that first moment that caught my attention, that wow, this is truly interesting. And I find myself just crave more of those connection, right? And I even noticed my own behavior change. So I'm a introvert and empath. am very uncomfortable sharing in the public, and I am not used to speaking up for myself. But in the journey, I noticed myself changing because I want to be better and I push myself to grow. So I think when I look at how life coaching changed my life, it's just indescribable because there's just so many different small moments and, you know, things that changes the way I think and feel. And one thing I also came across when I was being coached myself is that I realized doing the things you don't like, you can fail, which is, you get laid off. You can find another job. Is that really what you want? So why not do something I really love, right? Because either way you can fail. And for the longest time, I'm just so afraid of failing. Even now, sometimes I'm so afraid of failing, saying the wrong thing, and worry about what other people think of me. But I feel so empowered in a way that I feel like I could be me. Like this is the time that I feel like completely is me. Like I wouldn't want to change anything about the process because every experience teach me something, right? So yeah, I hope I answered the question.
Of course, and I can completely agree and feel the same way in terms of like the coaching experience because same for me when I went into the coaching school. I didn't know if I wanted to become a coach or not, and during the process I actually became more aware of who I am as a
Mhm,
person, as a coach, as a father, as a husband, brother, son. Like it
yeah.
really helped me understand my own relationship with myself and then the relationships that I've developed with everyone that's around me. So it was such a powerful way to experience more self-awareness of what it
Mhm,
is that we bring to the table. And I feel the connection and like how passionate you are as well about like helping people, especially like
mm,
taking that role as in recruitment, working for a high performance team or high potential employees team or something like that, and um, working weekends as well so that you could help the candidates increase the
mhm.
chances of them securing or landing the jobs that they're applying for. Um, I wonder what are some things that you find yourself as what I remember you said you're an empowerment and confidence coach, right?
Mhm,
So what are some things that you do to build confidence to overcome some of those um, feelings of failure or
mhm.
what people might judge of us? Because we all feel that. Like there's a lot of misconception that failure is so bad,
Mhm.
but what are some things that you've gained along the way and some experiences that you could share with us?
I just feel like confident is not something that is born within us. It's not the moment you born and you have confidence. You have to cultivate the confidence through practice. So it's cliche to say the more you fail, the more confident you become because it's not true. Some people fail and they never want to do it again, right? And for me, I think I'm not sure where I get this from, but I think from really young, I know I'm someone who do not give up easily. I remember even saying that in one of the interview back in my first job. But I I realize confidence grow when you take action
Yeah.
because when you take action, it's not so having confidence, it's not like you know everything. Like it's not like you will never fail. It's not coming into a room where everyone sees you as the most confident person. It's not just from the look of how you look and how you dress. it's that inner ability of trusting that you have the ability to and skills to do what you say you want to do. And when you do that for yourself, you build that self-assurance inside you and you trust yourself more. And when you trust yourself more, you slowly build up that confidence, right? Because you have a patterns and history that reminds you how you became who you are. And so I just want to say that if you feel like you don't have confidence, you can immediately build confidence by taking that first action, because it's not about doing the most empowering things in life. It's just taking the action for you to show yourself that you can move forward from whatever's happening to you. And if you keep doing that, like I don't know what else can hold you back if you build that confidence inside you. Because I used to be the person that looks for validation everywhere. I do something good and I want someone to compliment me. I want someone to say, "Did you see that? Like, did you see like how I closed that person?" Or how you know, I want people to validate me because I never see my own ability until I learned that. I realized that I no longer need to be validated by other people because I now acknowledge my own win, right? And that is just taking actions.
Yeah, there's so much power there. And it's so true. So, like, taking actions overcomes those feelings of searching for validation from other. And what I'm hearing is that being able to give yourself that reassurance or validation, then you kind of, I guess it connects with what you're saying, confidence and empowerment, because you empower yourself to have that strength
Mhm.
to believe in yourself rather than be a victim to others and waiting for them to give you some sort of validation of anything that we've done. And I liked what you shared in terms of like we're born without confidence, but
Mhm.
then it's a skill that we build and develop over time. And it's by taking one step, one action at a time, learning, reflecting, and then perfecting. And then it's just a cycle that goes around and around.
Mhm.
Um, that's so powerful and helpful as well. And also it kind of reminds me of what you shared in terms of your story of how you were living a life where others kind of thought it's what was best for you, but then you eventually took action and really
Mhm.
found the strength that you wanted to do and live the life that you're living. And if you were to share like what would be your where would you see yourself maybe in like 5 years? I know this is like a really open-ended question, can go anywhere, but like,
Mhm.
because I'm feeling that you've had this transformation and now you're seeing things more clearly for you by taking action. So
Mhm.
if you had any vision or insights or things that you can look out towards, but what would it be? Like, how would life look like for you?
It sounds like the question now when I think about this 5 years questions, right? It sounds like an aspiration
Mm.
for me because I want to say I'm also really new in being a solopreneur and entrepreneur, right? I feel like 5 years from now, if I continue in the trajectory of taking actions and continue to build up that confidence and being the best version of myself every single day, I think 5 years from now, I could potentially be on Mel Robbins' podcast. I don't know.
Uh, yeah, why
Hope
not?
so. Um, I would aspire to be speaking on maybe a TED Talk someday. It sounds really far from now because I'm just starting out of sharing stories, but I really get excited just thinking about it. So who knows? But in a 5 years plan, I think it's possible. Like you just shouldn't limit yourself from what you want to become. Because I remember going back to my banking days. I remember I had one manager, and I shouldn't mention, but I'm not gonna mention name. Um, she did not believe that I could do sales when I first joined her team, and that time inside me, I say, I'm gonna prove to you I can, even
Mhm.
though I don't know if I can, you know.
Yeah.
And I did it, and I became one of the top sales
Oh,
every
wow.
single time for quite a while. And when I decided to leave, she actually apologized. She said that, I'm so sorry, I think you couldn't do it, but is there any way you could stay? I'm like,
Oh, wow.
thank you, but no. So I really believe that we shouldn't be limited by what other people think of us. But
Absolutely.
if you limit your own mindset or your own belief, then that's where you feel stuck,
Yeah,
right?
I love that. Oh, thanks for
Mm.
sharing that. Um, usually at the end of these podcast episodes, we have a tradition where we get to ask the guests to share some sort of motto or wisdom or words that keeps them driven and motivated. What are some of, I don't know, you quotes or reflections that you keep repeating to yourself to keep yourself going, especially during times where things can become challenging?
Let me think about it. Um, I think one of the most fitting one that I think about these days a lot is by Confucius. He says, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right.
That's so
So
true.
that was really powerful for me, because every single time I say I can't because I'm not doing anything, right? I choose not to do it. And I just also want to, I think another powerful one is that, not sure if that is quoted by anyone, but it's just a motto for myself, is that the only person that I need to compare myself with is me yesterday, because it's my life and I'm living with reflections of myself. And if I'm doing better today, even just it's just 1%, that's all it takes, right? So just never stop comparing yourself with everyone else, because we are all different. We are all unique, right? And yeah,
It's so true. And it's like even when we're kids in school and we compare ourselves to others and what they're wearing and their grades and how many chocolates they have, and
oh my
we're
God.
just like accustomed and programmed to compare ourselves to others. But like what you shared is so powerful because it's true. Like even just becoming 1% better every day compared to our previous self gives us the power to continue to grow and develop
Yeah.
our own unique skills.
Mhm.
That's so powerful. Thank you so much for joining and for sharing your stories. I, for one, can guarantee that I didn't find them disappointing at all, and I'm really grateful that you felt comfortable to share in such a way. And I feel that it's going to connect with a lot of people who might be going through something similar as well, and feeling that they might need to find out what it is that they have to do with their lives, and also look for external validation while validation is really important to be coming from within. So thank you so much for sharing with us, Shen.
Thank you so much, Hassan. I feel like you have gave me a space to share my story, which I didn't know would come out, but I am so happy that you asked me those questions, because I was also reflecting at the same time about how my childhood actually and teenage life, and continue how it shapes who I am today. So I am so grateful that I have this space to share, and hopefully people who hear this story can relate and resonate, because I think sometimes all we need is just one person to encourage or inspire, and that
Sure.
will change the trajectory of our life, right? So I'm so happy and
Absolutely.
grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Shen. And thank you all for joining and listening. And as always, today is the most important day of your life. And until next week, stay tuned. Take care.